This video was brought to you by NordVPN. Both China and the European Union are economic behemoths, representing two of the world's largest markets, not just generally, but to each other. The EU is regularly China's biggest trading partner, with China often being the EU's second largest trading partner behind the US. So you'd think that with so much trade on the line, that China and Europe would be on the same page. But that's just not the case. So in this video, we're going to discuss why the once keen and positive friendship is no more, and if it's even really that simple. First things first, some background. Initially, China-EU relations were quite positive. In fact, in 2013, the two proposed a comprehensive agreement on investment, something that would later be billed as the most ambitious agreement that China has ever concluded with a third country. The agreement would open up the Chinese internal market to EU investors, allowing them to compete on a better playing field in China. The problem, though, was that it wasn't exactly plain sailing from there. In 2019, the European Union designated China as a systemic rival, arguing in its strategic outlook at the time that China is simultaneously, in different policy areas, a cooperation partner with whom the EU has closely aligned objectives, a negotiating partner with whom the EU needs to find a balance of interests, an economic competitor in the pursuit of technological leadership, and a systemic rival promoting alternative methods of governance. Now, this designation came on the back of a shift in tone by the likes of Germany and France, with the former's main business lobby, the Federation of German Industries, also designating China as a systemic competitor. But the problem with the relationship between Europe and China is that there isn't exactly a single relationship. While the European Union does nominally have a common foreign and security policy, given the sensitivity and sovereignty issues associated with foreign policy, each member state tends to be more autonomous in the areas of foreign policy than the rest of European policy. For example, in the very same year that the EU began calling China an economic competitor and a systemic rival, Italy became the first major European economy and the first G7 economy to join China's Belt and Road Initiative, China's huge global infrastructure development strategy aiming to connect Asia with Africa and Europe via land and maritime networks. Italy's support of China's project ultimately led the European Commission to take a swipe at the country in its Strategic Outlook report, saying that neither the EU nor any of its member states can effectively achieve their aims with China without full unity. Now, while Italy might be the first major European economy to move closer to China, it was and is far from the only one. By the time the Strategic Outlook was published, 13 member states had signed a memorandum of understanding with China's Belt and Road project, according to the European Commission's then Vice President Commissioner for Jobs, Growth, Investment and Competitiveness. In fact, even before the Belt and Road Initiative made its way to Europe, back in 2012, China and a number of Eastern European countries, specifically 16 of them, began meeting in what became known as the 16+1 format. The format was nominally focused on cooperation on infrastructure and development projects, but many saw it as a backdoor attempt by China to gain influence with EU member states who felt overlooked by Brussels. The problem is, though, that even with that format, cracks have begun to show. Although Greece ended up joining in 2019, making it the 17+1, 3 other countries have since quit: Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia. In a statement, the Latvian Foreign Ministry stressed that even though it will be leaving the format, Latvia will continue to strive for constructive and pragmatic relations with China, both bilaterally as well as through EU-China cooperation. In a similarly worded statement, Estonia's foreign ministry noted that an element of its decision to leave was China's failure to adequately condemn Russia's invasion of Ukraine. But even that reason doesn't paint the full picture. Even before the war in Ukraine and China's lack of condemnation, the format was losing steam. In fact, all three countries, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, decided not to send any high-ranking officials, i.e. presidents or prime ministers, to the last in-person summit of the format last year. The Lithuanian withdrawal, however, is far more interesting and long-running, with Lithuania annoying China over the issue of Taiwan. That's because in November, Lithuania allowed Taiwan to open up an embassy in the Lithuanian capital, and allowed it to bear the name Taiwan, rather than Chinese Taipei, which is used by others to avoid offending China. And, well, China got offended, downgrading diplomatic relations with Lithuania a matter of days afterwards, before going further and suspending the import of beef, dairy, and beer from Lithuania, nominally due to a lack of documentation. But even then, China's friendship with Europe, if we could even call it that, wasn't exactly in a good place before the war. A number of EU states started unilaterally imposing restrictions on the use of Huawei equipment in telecoms infrastructure, citing security concerns. The likes of Sweden, Denmark, Slovenia, Poland, Czechia, Romania, Estonia, Latvia, Slovakia, and Bulgaria all made announcements tantamount to a ban on Huawei equipment. Regardless, though, as The Economist highlights, China and Europe can't go completely separate ways. Ties with Europe matter to China, both for economic and political purposes. On the economic front, as we mentioned at the top of this video, the EU is China's biggest trading partner, so losing the European market would lead to a huge shock to the Chinese economy, let alone a shock to European consumers. On the political side, China hopes its economic clout will deter European governments from supporting American policies that China resents, on everything from human rights to dealings with Taiwan. In essence, the links, however tenuous and weak, begin to act as a tacit restraint on European governments from cutting those very links. By the way, I do hear that China and Europe's relationship is struggling due to a lack of connection. Europe is waiting for China to respond to their DMs, but due to their immense firewalls, China's not seeing anything. If only they knew about VPNs. It's a full suite of tools to secure your digital life, from blocking malware and preventing malicious ad trackers to helping you set more secure passwords. And there's fun stuff too, because using NordVPN, you can access the internet through other countries, which means that region-locked content is available to you from anywhere. And as they have over 5,400 servers in 59 different countries, there's a lot of choice. So when you're at home, you can stream movies and films that aren't on your streaming services, and when you're away, you can still log in via your country, preventing all of your apps from freaking out and thinking that you're being hacked. So NordVPN really is an all-in-one security solution. And with the fastest connection of any VPN out there, now's the time to get yourself protected. So if you sign up for a 2-year subscription using our link, you'll not only get a massive discount, but you'll also benefit from their 30-day free trial to give you some peace of mind while you find out how much you love it. Anyway, thanks for your support, and thanks to NordVPN for sponsoring TLDR.